Hi there. I'd like to start off by reading you guys a quote here I found online. So, according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Death is number two. Does that sound right? This means to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket than delivering the eulogy. I believe with this presentation here, I will cover some of the specific topics that will give you a better understanding and make you feel a little bit more comfortable when you're giving a speech and giving a presentation. So my name is Jimmy Kobrick. I'm a senior here at Ferris State University, and here's my presentation. So the basics of my presentation here are going to be covering the key essentials of giving your presentation, that including the introduction, body, and conclusion of it. But of course, like anything other, you need to be properly prepared for it. Going through a presentation, we have about a 7-step process in helping you plan, prepare, and rehearse for your presentations. So step 1, considering the applicable contextual forces. Step 2, determine the purpose and consider channel constraints and benefits. Step 3, envision the audience. Step 4, adapt the message to the audience needs and concerns. Step 5, organize the message. Step 6, prepare visual aids, and Step 7, rehearse your delivery. Now that you have gone through this 7-step process and you feel that you are pretty much properly prepared, it's time to pretty much put it all together. So that's using the research you found and putting it all into writing, adding all that information into a presentation, looking for a proper background and slides that you want to create, creating your slides in a clear, efficient manner, and using some of visual aids, but of course not using too many to clutter the space. And most importantly, you want to be rehearsing as much as you possibly can. With more rehearsal, you'll be able to give that message more clearly and not be stumbling upon your words. So another quick point I wanted to touch base on here that I believe is very important while giving a presentation is talking about your personal performance. So no matter what, you want to be dressed properly, whether that be a suit, coat, and tie, maybe a collared shirt, properly shaved, hair nice and combed back as well as using good body language. That meaning, using your hands, walking around a little bit, and not standing so still and stiff. Moving into the actual presenting aspect here of the presentation, so you want to be presenting to your audience. Of course, you want to be having good eye contact and engaging your audience. But for many people, making eye contact with your audience does kind of scare them a little bit. So a good tip that I've learned is looking just above their head. That might be their foreheads or just on top of their head, and that makes you feel a little more comfortable. It doesn't have you exactly looking into their eyes. So that helps you deal with some nerves. Another way of dealing with your nerves is the amount of practice and rehearsal you do. Of course, the more you practice and rehearse, the better you'll be able to present your information, and less likely you'll be able to stumble upon your words and feel less confident about it. This is the key aspect of your presentation here, the introduction. This is where you're going to be grabbing all the attention from your audience, as well as giving a personal intro if that's needed, talking about yourself, your background, giving yourself credibility and why they should be listening to you, as well as giving them an intro of what the presentation is going to be about, and of course get those attention grabbers to pique that audience interest. So like I said on the previous slide, the introduction is huge. This is where you're going to be capturing the attention of your audience and really engaging them and making them want to listen to you. This is where also you'll be establishing a rapport, convincing the audience really why they should be listening to you, and presenting them that the knowledge to cover this material, as well as presenting the purpose statement in the introduction is huge, and previewing some of the key points that will be talked about during the presentation. So we move on to the body of the presentation, which is really the heart of the presentation. This is where you gather all the information and really give it all to them. So you want to be using simple vocab and short sentences to keep the audience engaged and allow them to listen and follow along easily, as well as avoiding technical terms that might cause some confusion throughout the audience. And providing relevant statistics or quotes is huge. Again, that's building up your reputation and providing the audience on reasons why they should be listening to you, as well as using some visuals. These can be very helpful in getting a point across. as well as using some interesting stories. People in the audience love to hearing reasons why they can relate to them, so interesting stories go a long way. Moving into the ending here, into the closing of the presentation. The close is a very important aspect of the presentation. People remember mostly of what was talked about at the very end, so it's important to provide those key aspects, key terms, and create that memorable experience, that memorable conclusion for the audience to take back. Also, you want to tie the closing back to the introduction. That will strengthen the unity of the whole presentation, as well as using transition words that will clearly indicate that you have moved into the closing. Let people know that the presentation is wrapping up here, as well as you want to practice the closing very much until you feel pretty confident with your delivery and you feel confident with wrapping the whole presentation up. And then once you have completely finished your presentation, thank them for their time, smile, and just stand back and accept that applause from them.